Hello, hi, it's Henry the computer guy, and you welcome to our lesson number 30. And we are going to be talking about the categories of computer hardware. Remember, we talked about them just a little, but we are going to be talking about the categories in general, categories of computer hardware in general. So, they're telling us that computer hardware devices or computer hardware are categorized according to their function. The various hardware categories include, we can have the input, those ones that enter data into the computer. We can have the output, those ones that display or convey the processed data. Storage, these ones that retain or keep the data or information. Communication, and these ones help two or more computers to communicate to one another. And lastly, the processing, whereby these ones are the ones that help us to convert or transform the data to information, something that has a meaning. So we are going to look at each and every category in general. So input devices are used for entering data or information into the computer, after which other processes can occur. For example, you can use devices like the mouse, the keyboard, and others. Whereas output hardware is used for producing or displaying information which can be in form of a soft copy or hard copy. What is the difference between a soft copy and a hard copy? Soft copy is information that is visually displayed on our computer. It is in soft. That information that is visually seen with the eyes or still on our computer is what we call a soft copy. Whereas the hard copy is that information in a permanent form, for example, suitable for direct use and print out on a paper, for example. That is the difference between a soft copy and a hard copy. That means that output can either be a hard copy or a soft copy. Storage devices are used for storing data or information for future use. The storage devices can be inside the computer itself, and those are the internal. For example, hard disk, internal hard disk. Or can be external to the computer. At times we call those ones peripherals. And we can have what we call an external hard disk. Sometimes storage devices can be looked at in terms of the methods used to store data on them, as we shall see with time to come. For example, Iggy, you can compare a flash and a CD. Can you compare a flash and a CD? The method of storing data on each of these devices is different. For example, a flash disk is a solid-state storage device, whereas a CD is an optical storage device. That means that information is recorded onto a CD using laser beam of light, which is not the case with a flash disk. So a hard disk is categorized under a solid-state storage device, whereas a CD is categorized under optical storage. We continue. And we are today going to begin with what we call the input computer hardware. Remember, we have said that input computer hardware are specifically those computer components that help us to feed data into the computer. You want to work upon something onto the computer, you enter it into a computer using input devices. For example, a mouse. Let's start right away. They're telling us that these are computer hardware devices used to feed or enter data into the computer. They are supposed to enter or feed data into the computer. And we have some of the examples. We have the keyboard. It is used to enter the characters. We have the mouse, used to make selections on the screen. We have the digital camera, You want to take some pics, photographs, capture photographs. We have a joystick. You want to control a computer game. It is used for that. Gamepad. You want to play a game, of course, computer game. You need a gamepad. We are going to be looking at all these devices and how they look like. We need a tablet. You want to draw an image, you can draw it on a tablet, then convert it or take it to the computer. We have a barcode reader. For example, it is displayed here. It is used in a supermarket to identify prices of a commodity. Then we have a microphone. You want to enter sound into a computer. Right now I'm using a microphone to enter sound into the presentation software I'm presenting to you, or the lesson I'm making. We have a webcam. In case I wanted you to look at me, then I'll turn on, or I would turn on my webcam, and it captures my picture or my face when I'm explaining this. We can have a touchpad. That area on a laptop where we always touch to move the cursor. You have a touch screen. Many of you have smartphones and you use the touch screen to enter data into that phone. You have a trackball. It is actually an upside down mouse. It is a stationary mouse. You have a track point. That button we can use to move our cursor to different areas, and it is always in between the buttons, the G, the B, and the H. The scanner, we want to convert a hard copy to a soft copy. We use that component. A light pen, you want to write or draw an image on, let's say, CRT sensitive monitors, you need that one. Voice recognition equipment. These ones can recognize the voice of someone. That means that they are built in, what we call the artificial intelligence. The quick response code readers. These are actually somehow similar to the barcode readers. You have ever seen these ones on your Zender? For example, if you have ever sent a song from one's phone to another person's phone using Zender, that code, it tells you to always scan using your camera. It's what we call the quick response code. So the item we can use, it is the reader. And we are actually looking at some of the images of input devices. So this actually helps us to enter the data into our computer. For example, first of all, the first one here can be the webcam, or is the webcam. Then we have the touchpad. Remember, I've told you, can use it to move our cursor to different locations and make selections onto the screen. We have a digital camera. You want to take photographs. We have a camcorder. It's somehow portable, can capture the photographs and even take some videos. We have a touch screen. I told you, many of you have smartphones, and that you always use to enter data into that phone is what we call the touch screen. Then we have a digitizing tablet. You want to draw an image or a map of Uganda, you can draw it onto that tablet using a stylus pen. This pen that we can use to draw onto a tablet is a stylus pen. Then you can enter the diagram or the picture into the computer. We have a gamepad. We use it to control the game or computer game. We have a mouse, and I said we use a mouse for making selections onto our screen. We use a barcode reader to identify prices of commodities in a supermarket. Remember, when you go to the supermarket, it is always self-service. You pick what you want, you take to the point of sales. So they will scan that component that you have actually picked. Then it will determine the price using the barcode reader. Then we have the joystick. We use this one when you're controlling the computer game. It has some buttons which you can trigger and they control your computer game. We have a trackball, and we say that this is an upside down mouse. is actually meant to be stationary. You move the ball on top to use or to move the cursor to different locations. Then we have the digital video camera. This is somehow different from a digital camera in that this one can take photographs at the same time recording the videos. Then we can have the microphone for helping us to enter our sound into, let's say, the computer or any presentation software or anything that you feel you want to enter sound into. Those are some of the diagrams I've managed to actually put for you for input. They will help us to enter data into the computer. We continue. And they're telling us that input computer hardware, according to the type of data they input, they can be categorized into the following. That means that these devices are also categorized. They are input but also categorized into, for example, the text input devices, whereby these ones help us to enter text into the computer. The pointing input devices, whereby these ones help us to move the pointer or the cursor on our screen. The imaging input devices, these ones deal with images, for example, the scanner, the digital camera, and others. The gaming input devices, these ones are specifically used to control computer games. Audio input devices, they help us to enter audio into the computer. The biometric input devices, these ones are specifically dealing with the physical characteristic. A person's physical characteristic to enter information into the computer. We have other specialized input devices, as we shall talk about them, for example, the remote and others. So in the next lesson, we are going to begin the text input device or text input devices, whereby we shall talk about the keyboard. Thank you for watching. It's been Henry the Computer Guy. And if you're new to this channel, please help me and subscribe and share the link to other friends that might need it. Bye bye. I sign out.